Hi there. Today we are going to make preserved lemons. Preserved lemons are a North African condiment, ingredient that's great to have in your fridge for those times you just want to add a little extra oomph, zest to whatever it is you're cooking. Traditionally, it's used in couscous, it's used in tagines, stews, soups. We've found all sorts of ways to use it, and it's really easy. The first recipe I made that I followed required boiling the lemons and letting them sit in water and cool down, and it was, anyway, this is much easier than that. It takes time, but it's not hands-on time, it's counter time.
Excellent.
So let's get started. We're gonna make a very small batch. You can do 1 lemon, you can do 20 lemons, it's up to you. These are organic lemons, and I would recommend using organic, or at least not sprayed, because you're actually going to be eating the peel here. So go out of your way to get organic or unsprayed lemons. The first time I made them, I used Meyer lemon. That's also really yummy. These are just, I think they're Eurekas or whatever they're called. So
not necessarily just any garden variety lemon.
Any kind of lemon's going to do you just fine. And you're not going to believe how easy this is. Now, some recipes do this thing where you slice almost through the whole lemon into quarters, and then you stuff it with the kosher salt. Yeah, I do something that's a lot easier. That's it.
Where do you find the time?
I know, outrageous, right? It's such a cheat. I don't even take out the seeds, because you can do that later. So the ratio is this: you need 1 tablespoon of kosher salt to 1 lemon. It's that easy. So I'm going to start by putting a tablespoon of salt into a glass jar, put my first lemon in there, then I'm going to put a 2nd tablespoon in.
I can slow that down. The people at home are having too much trouble.
Too much trouble following that. And I'm just going to give it a squish. And you know what? I'm going to put just a little bit more on the top.
Because that's how you roll.
Because why not? And you can even, if you feel like your salt isn't evenly distributed, give it a shake like that. Okay, this is going to sit on your counter, in a cupboard, wherever. Don't forget about it, but let it sit for 1 week, okay?
What happens if you do forget about it?
Good question. Let's just not go there. I'm not sure. I think it would probably be fine. This is a lot of salt, and salt is a preservative, so probably not a problem. So you just want to make sure, the reason I gave it a shake, make sure that your lemon is fully covered with salt like that. And what's going to happen over the course of the week is that the salt is going to extract the lemon juice from the lemon, okay? And you're going to see juice start to accumulate here. At the end of 1 week, what you do is you take the lid off. You might want to shake it every day to make sure it's getting mixed up with the salt, but you don't really have to. After 1 week, the lemons are a lot softer than they are right now. You can see these still have a lot of firmness to them. They're going to get a lot softer. And what you do is you push them down hard with your fingers, with a spoon, whatever, and you'll see the lemon juice rise. If the lemon juice, when you've squished it down like that, has not risen over the level of the lemons, then you want to squeeze a few more lemons and put extra lemon juice in, because what you're going for after a week, not the first week, but in 7 days, you want lemon juice to cover the lemons, okay? Do not use bottled real lemon here.
Never.
No, don't. It's not a good idea.
It's not real food.
It's also not recommended, and it won't taste right. Use more lemons if you don't have enough lemon juice. The last time I made this, I totally had enough lemon juice and didn't have to add any more. And I wanted to show you again, I'm not paid by these people. This is, I think, called a pickle pebble, and it's glass, which is great, and it's heavy. And so what I did after a week, when they were softer, is I just went kind of like that and gave it a good push, and I found that the level of the moisture rose up over the lemons, and then I just left it in there. And then, once you have enough lemon juice to cover your lemons, you let that sit again for 3 weeks.
Right. So I'm guessing that the chemistry is such that there's enough acid and salt in there to prevent any bacteria.
That's exactly what's going on. So between the lemon juice, yes, good science, Rob. Between the lemon juice and the salt, you're doing really well in terms of preservatives. So, but you do want to make sure it's covered because if the air comes in contact with it after that first week, there could be problems. So make sure it goes down below the lemon juice.
It's gonna be trouble.
And then, so you let it sit for 3 weeks, okay? Once those 3 weeks are done, and during that time, by the way, you can add spices. You can add a chili, you can add various different, peppercorns, whatever you like. I personally leave it plain because I like to have the flexibility to add whatever flavors to my finished dish. So I don't want it in my preserved lemons. I want my preserved lemons to taste like lemons and salt.
But you could do garlic preserved lemons or chili preserved lemons or...
Yes, you can put all sorts of things in there. The other thing is after the second waiting period, the 3 weeks, push it down again with your pickle pebble or whatever you have there. That's hard to say, pickle pebble. Push it down, and then you can pour a film of olive oil over it and pop it in the fridge. It will last at least a year in your fridge. Now, just like Julia Child, look what I have here.
This is how it looks when it's done. Yeah.
I made these about a month and a half ago, give or take. Have a look there. You can see that's olive oil sitting on the top. Now, if I had just taken this out of the refrigerator, that olive oil would have been solid. But it's been sitting out for about 20 minutes, so it's no longer solid. And what I'm going to do here is take one piece. Now, this is why I cut my lemon into chunks where they're often left whole in recipes. If I have to take out a whole lemon right now and I don't want to use a whole lemon, I am potentially adding bacteria to the stuff I'm not using that I'm going to put back in there. So I like to have smaller chunks that I'm more likely to use. Plus it's easier to get out of the jar. So I got my one chunk there, and this will go right back in the fridge where it'll stay, like I said, no problem. And what we're doing with it today is I cooked up some quinoa. Certainly you could do couscous, this could be pasta, it could be rice, you could do all sorts of things. What we're doing is sort of a pilaf, for lack of a better term. So we've got some cooked quinoa there. Now, you can rinse this. In fact, many recipes ask you to rinse it. It really depends how salty your recipe is. There is no salt in this quinoa at all at this point, so I'm not going to rinse it. The other thing is some recipes call for removing the flesh, which is what I'm going to do. That's the flesh of the lemon. That's the peel of the lemon, okay? So I'm going to use the peel in this recipe. Another thing that you can do, some people throw that in, especially if it's a soup, you can throw the flesh in there as well. What some people do is they take some of their preserved lemon out and they hit it with a stick blender. So you've got a puree, and that's really easy to add to things as well. If you don't want to have any texture, you don't want to find any chunks, because the lemon is super bright and salty. So if you don't want to get a hit of that in your mouth, then pureeing it might be the way to go. What I'm going to do here is just do skinny little slices. And that's probably as much as I need for that amount of quinoa. And then I'm going to do basically a mince.
So it's really that powerful of a flavor agent that you don't need that much for that quantity of quinoa, right?
It is very strongly lemony and salty. So I'm just going to sprinkle that in to our quinoa. And I would probably add parsley at this point, but our parsley has gone to seed in the garden because it's warm. And we don't have any cilantro right now either because the slugs ate it. Ugh, terrible, right? But we did have arugula. So I washed some arugula from the garden and just chopped it roughly. So that's going to go in there because I like the bite of arugula and it's nice to have something green in there. Now, if you have watched the other video, I made dukkha, one of my first videos, and that's what this is, which is a nut and seed blend with spices in it. And it's got lots of really good flavor, and I'm just going to sprinkle some of that in there. You could also toast some nuts. Pistachios are particularly good, but you could toast walnuts or almonds or anything like that. Chop them up, and then once they're cool, add them. And then I'm also, for a little bit of color and another hit of sour, these are barberries, which I got at a Persian store. And they're a lovely, like I said, hit of color and a little bit of sort of sweet sour flavor, kind of like a cranberry. So you could use craisins here as well. I'm just going to give that a bit of a mix.
Taste and correct for salt.
Well, we will do that, absolutely. And then I'm going to put just a teeny bit of olive oil, just to kind of bring it all together. I don't want it to be greasy, but I do want to help it blush. And if you don't know what that means, go back and see another one of our episodes. I think that was kimchi, where we talked about blushing. All right, so.
It's just that easy.
It really is. So let's see. Yep, a little bit more salt. And I think I'm gonna put some pepper in, but I'm tasting the spices from the dukkha that are really nice in there. Bit of lemon, the pepper flavor of the arugula. And let's see if I can get some barberry in there as well.
The dukkha on your hummus is amazing.
Yeah, dukkha on hummus is lovely. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's really quite nice. I might even add the remainder of this lemon because I can. But it's totally up to you. Taste as you go along. Like I said, you can do so many things with the preserved lemon. You could take a whole piece and put it in with a stew or something and remove it if you didn't want the chunk in there. Same with cooking something like a pot of rice. You could put it in there and remove it. Or you can mince it up, add it afterwards, whatever. So that is preserved lemons. I think that covers it all. That is real food, and it really wasn't hard, was it?